Sponsorluğunda gerçekleştirilen İstanbul Moda Konferansı'na hoş geldiniz. Bu sene
HD, I would like to welcome you to the 13th Istanbul Fashion Conference. We are organizing the 13th Istanbul Fashion Conference by Turkish Clothing Manufacturers Association, Istanbul Ready-Made Garment and Apparel Exporters Association. Actually, we have quite a heavy and busy schedule. That's what I would like to say. Due to the pandemics, we're organizing this conference online, Istanbul Fashion Conference, and the theme of the year is the Fashion's Wake-Up Call. Actually, the entire rings of the supply chain of the Turkish textile industry will be together. We'll be speaking about brand making in Turkey and all around the world, and in the new world order, about the brands, about success stories that we'll be speaking about. We have so many guests, and they all will be together with us. Again, we'll be speaking about the global supplier chain and what our economic prospects would be. What are the opportunities for Turkey in the textile industry, in the fashion industry, how we can move Turkey further. All will be discussed in detail with all our guests and all together with you. And we actually will be hosting the Minister of Industry and Technology, Mr. VARANK, at the same time will be addressing to us. So actually, just to get started, I would like to invite the head of the executive committee of the Turkish Clothing Manufacturers Association, Mr. Kurs. Actually, you know, we are just going through the digital platform from Business HD social media account. That's for the entire day. You can actually follow our conference online. So thank you very much for this conference, Mr. Karasu. I wish for the success, and I would like to give the floor to you for your opening address. I would like to thank you first, Barış. Actually, we're just, you know, talking to you each evening, just like you're one of us, distinguished minister, my dear colleagues, and at the same time, all our very distinguished colleagues that are watching us from the TV. As also Barış stated, this is the 13th Istanbul Fashion Conference that we are together, and it's in digital environment that we'll be organizing it. And you know the reasons why, of course. Well, in May 2, 1976, at the second floor of Vakıfan with Vitali Hakkı, Nuri Güven, and at the same time who is with us, and that we are addressing Selahattin Akdoğan, which we actually consult him, 7 visionaries, 7 entrepreneurs started the lobbying activities as the Turkish Clothing Manufacturers Association. Our goal was actually to restructure the industry and at the same time to have lobbying activities. As an NGO for public interest, they actually laid the foundations of the association. It's been 44 years since then, and 20 presidents and at the same time 20 executive committees so far always underline the first. And the fashion conference was one of the first that we started in Turkey. And it was just a couple of billions of our domestic market and the export market at that time. But looking at the textile ready-wear, especially leather and carpet, we can speak about $30 billion worth of an export and over $20 billion of, at the same time, domestic market production that actually hinders import. It actually has reached to such dimensions. Of course, in the recent years, we're just feeling the bottleneck. This is not the case only for our industry. All around the world, it is just like the call for a transformation. In 2019, November, the first time we heard about a new flu, Corona. We did not take it so seriously at that time. And as the Turkish Clothing Manufacturers Association, together with the conference working committee, we were just thinking about the theme of the year. And it was at that time that we thought about the actually fashion's wake-up call that we identified actually the theme of the fashion conference, because, you know, as the Clothing Manufacturers Association, we were always talking about the need for change, actually a wake-up call that we were talking about. And with digitalization, of course, at the same time, sustainability is very important. Actually, we thought that digitalization would actually be a leap forward for the industry. You know, in March, it was a collusion. It was actually shocking for all of us. We started in panic, but what I would like to tell you is that both as the industry and as the country, I can tell you we are just one of the best countries and the industries that actually handle this so well as the clothing and the readwear and textile industry. As the association, we actually established an emergency desk. I'd like to thank to so many of our colleagues with the stakeholders, at the same time with the international stakeholders. We discussed about the critical turning points in the future. We prepared a letter first in the form of a declaration, and we announced it to the rest of the world over the strong network that we have built so far and over the media. And Alberto Pacanelli, president of Eurotex, Han Becke, president of IAF, and I would like to thank to this and to all the Exporters Union. Thank you very much, because we acted together, and it's been really very effective. And of course, we've just received some feedback from that. And then our working group started to contact with Ankara, the capital. And we discussed about what measures we can take. We addressed our concerns to the president, and we actually received quite quick response. Our government showed a quick reflex, and with all the measures taken, actually protected the employment, sustained it, and helps the industry to survive. Our actually Minister of Trade, Ruhsar Pekcan, took several measures. At the same time helped to enhance the trade. And whenever we call, at the same time, our Tuna Turagay, Rıza Tuna Turagay, the Deputy Minister, thank you very much. Special thanks would go to Minister of Industry under the coordination of MUSTAFA VARANK with Çetin Ali Dönmez, the Deputy Minister. Every single day he called me. And Hasan Büyükdede, the Deputy Minister, we actually prepared a mask machine and 6 million masks produced free of charge. For our industrialists, thank you very much for your patriotism, and because they really mobilized so quickly. Thank you very much for that. And Fatih Kajar, our actually Deputy Minister, again called us all the time. And we all discussed about what actions we should take in terms of the incentives so we actually can have a leap forward again. Thank you very much for all of them. And another thanks would go to the Executive Committee of Turkish Clothing Manufacturers Association. And at the same time, I would like to thank to the Conference Working Committee, the head of the committee, Murat Aydın, and all our colleagues at the committee working for 1 year for the organization of this event. Of course, all the other working groups also worked so hard in the foreign relations, and Senin Dikmen representing us before IAF, at the same time, Recep Karaslanoğlu, and for the mentoring studies, I would like to thank to Dilek for sustainability, for the mentorship program, especially for attracting our young colleagues, I would like to thank. And the deputy head of Toygar, again, very well chaired the innovation working group, and we're doing great things there. And finally, in domestic affairs, Ramazan Kaya, and also the head of the deputy head of the working group. I would like to thank them. Of course, our Secretary General, Ülkem Yaman, and all the secretariat. Thank you very much. Of course, our sister organization, as you all know, is Istanbul Ready-Made Garment and Apparel Exporters Association. My dear friend, Mustafa Gültepe, the president of the association, has been with me all the time. Also, I'd like to thank to the executive committee of the association. Minister of Trade Mustafa VARANK actually joined us, and at the same time, thank you very much for showing your support all the time. And this is the 13th Istanbul Fashion Conference, and you've honored us for the opening of the conference. Yes, the floor is yours, sir. Thank you very much. My dear colleagues, my dear guests, and very distinguished attendees, ladies and gentlemen, together with the Turkish Clothing Manufacturers Association and Istanbul Ready-Made Garment and Apparel Exporters Association are jointly organizing the third Istanbul Fashion Conference. And on the occasion of the opening ceremony of the conference, I would like to say, I'm just more than happy to be with you. We extend our deepest gratitude to you. Of course, it is in digital media that we are together, but I can feel your enthusiasm. Because as you all know, our, again, distinguished president has joined so far to all these conferences, and I've actually of this, and especially will the supply chain strategies, sustainability and digitalization in the textile industry will be discussed. And this conference will allow discussing all the new ideas, and people also will be a part of this. Especially in the upcoming period, the perspective and the energy of the young people are very important. It will be leading for directing. And distinguished attendees, as you all know, the ready-wear industry is actually the proud of the Turkish industry. Starting with the 1980s that we have started to actually open the road, it's actually proven its ability, especially in the changing conditions. And it has actually very well adapted to the transformation, especially in terms of quality and in particular productivity. There is one thing I would like to mention clearly. The ready-wear industry, I would say, can always advance to the spirit of the time and continue to be available on data. As you all know, $16.3 billion US surplus that the industry had. In other words, among the manufacturing industries, the highest export was made by the ready-wear industry. And of course, as you all know, we have a word to say in the world, and we are a global player. In 2019, we actually were the sixth top exporter in the textile industry, and it has added value. Per kilogram in average unit price is $1.3 in the entire manufacturing, but in the ready-wear, it is $13.2. You know, as for the job opportunities and employment opportunities provided by the industry, I would like to say, over 1 million workers are working in the ready-wear, especially 68% of the women's employment. In particular, it is the driving force of the industry, we can say, for the textile industry. Of course, the industry is in particular developing so well. Our ministry is at the same time providing several incentives, and at the same time, the government policies. For the last 18 years, in the we have several incentive certificates and billions of dollars incentive provided, and over 350,000 additional employment provided. We have the planned industrialization process in Bursa, in Diyarbakır, in Kahramanmaraş, Yalova, Kilis. Especially, we have some specialized industrial organized estates for textile specific, and some clusters at the same time promoted during our governance. Of course, as for the R&D innovation projects of the industry, the Turkish Scientific Highest Council and the SME administration at the same time supported. And especially several design and R&D centers are provided with some incentives for the income tax, especially for the social security premiums. In 2017, especially with the intellectual property rights, we've changed, and especially for the fashion industry and the textile industry, we provided protection. For their designs, the companies can possibly actually for 3 years under protection without applying to the Turkish Patent Agency. That's a protection provided, especially provides a dynamic structure for the industry, especially for design. It actually facilitates the design process. The ready-wear industry, I can say, is also very important for our regional development policies. There are development agencies, as you all know, regional development administrations, and we have several projects for the Center of Attraction and Center of Excellence, and we provide support. Of course, our main goal in here is actually, as we all know, there are investments that are concentrated in the metropolitan cities, and we encourage them to move it to the eastern and southeastern part of Turkey. As you all know, you can have better incentives when you move your business to the other areas. And at the same time, you have actually a wide pool of employment. And of course, investor-friendly approach is very important. We're also giving some new opportunities. We have textile city, especially we are attracting both the local and international investors at Van, Erzurum, Bingöl, Kilis, Silopi, Erzincan, Hakkari, Iğdır. We have textile cities there. And the investments that are made on these cities actually have cost benefit, and at the same time, it has a competitive edge. So it has a return on investment for the investors. At the same time, it helps for the women and the young people to be a part of the employment and helps them to actually promote their career. Dear guests, actually, as you all know, we have a priority and superiority over the textile industry. Of course, we have to focus on some breakthroughs as well. We actually have to understand what is going to change in the industry, and we have to take timely actions. We're going through some times that provide us with some new opportunities. COVID actually has changed the global value chains. We have to actually get more share of it. Fashion design and brand making and focusing on the brand. It's very important. This is the need that we have. So as the ministry, we're taking a strategic action. By the Informatics Valley, we will have design clustering. Our preparations are ready, and hopefully in November, we will have the opening of the center at the Informatics Valley. There will be design studios, business development, prototype development, and at the same time, exhibition area. Therefore, design and industry will be brought together so we will achieve for an interaction. For these design studios, there will be a multidisciplinary approach. Professional designers, I would like to welcome them. From textile to ready-wear, from the smart technologies, again, to interface design. There are several capabilities that will be possible there. And in the Business Development Center, especially for the newly graduates, we will actually be their hosts. There will be prototype production workshop that will be open to everyone. I mean, from entrepreneurs to high school or university students, for again, product designers to the SMEs and the businesses, they all will make use of this. This design clustering is actually will be, as you all know, there are products that are developed by digitalization and e-commerce. So we will help them to get their products to further markets. And because we actually have the potential to do more. And as the infrastructure in Turkey, we're doing really good. And as you all know, there are brands and the entire world is closely following. And at the same time, our fashion designers can possibly be from our country. There's no actual hindrance for this. The future of the industry, I can say, this is what I can say, is very bright and it's very enthusiastic. We're very excited about this. If you have some bottlenecks, just like we did in the past, we always will be next to you. We will actually try to overcome the problem. With this thinking in mind, I actually, before concluding my words, a special thanks I would like to say. You know, during the COVID era, and our president actually made a call for over the seasons over 65 during the first months of the pandemics. He asked us to provide some disinfectant and masks for the elderly. And we worked with the private industry in close contact, and the Turkish Clothing Manufacturers Association, together with several stakeholders, of course, Mustafa at the same time contributed a lot, they helped us. And 40 million masks distributed and 6 million elderly actually accessed, and we provided disinfectant and masks for them. And I would like to thank to our Turkish Clothing Manufacturers Association for their support, and at the same time, of course, for the private sector to open up the horizon for us during that period. And of course, Hadi also mentioned about Vakıfhan, and I actually spent my youth at Mahmut Pasha. And therefore, I'm a person very close to the industry. At Vakıfhan, in that building, I actually had several good memories. And of course, as a minister, addressing to you in such a conference is something very pleasing for me. Once again, I would like to reiterate that. And I would like to thank to all who contributed for the organization of this event. This is a 2-day event, and I hope that this will provide for some new opportunities and cooperation. And with my best regards to each and every one of you, and stay healthy.
We'd like to thank Mr. Varank for this comprehensive talk that has raised memories in our minds from the past to today, and I'd like to thank him for the contributions he has made to our conference once again with our pleasure, Sir.